Hello. So my name is Carrie Garton, formerly Carrie Barton, didn't change that much. And I was a 2000 Olympian for artistic swimming in Sydney, Australia. I am so honored and so privileged to be able to launch the first ever my Olympic Journey series for USA Artistic Swimming. You know, this is really an opportunity for Olympians like myself to share our journeys. You know, being an Olympic athlete comes with a lot. It comes with so many wonderful things. It comes with so many life lessons. It comes with a lot of failure. And this is a great opportunity to hear that transparency. And I think it's really important and really impactful for the athletes swimming today. We also hope that this series will really connect with everybody and bring the sport together closer than we ever have been. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy listening to my journey, and I hope you're able to take something from it. So when did I start? How did I start? Where am I from? All the good things. So I am originally from Irving, Texas. It's right outside of Dallas. And I was 9 years old when I started synchronized swimming, artistic swimming. And it was after having done multiple sports. I was a speed swimmer at the time. I was a soccer player. I had been in gymnastics, had tried multiple things. I was definitely an athlete at heart. We knew that, but I hadn't yet found sort of my niche. I loved performing. I loved sharing my emotions, as you can tell from how much I use my hands. And I was still looking for that sport that inspired me and made me want to push myself. So my mom came home one day, I was 9 years old, I think it was 1984, and said, hey, there's gonna be a 3-week class up at the local swim center. Maybe you should sign up. And I thought, well, that sounds cool. Let's do it. So I gathered all of my neighborhood friends, and they were like, sure, this would be so much fun to, do together. So we went to sign me up, and they had canceled the class. The coach no longer wanted to do it. So of course I can remember so vividly, like pulling on my mom's shirt going, well, why don't you coach it? You were a synchronized swimmer. My mom had actually done synchronized swimming through high school. And so finally, after some begging, she said, all right, sure. It's only 3 weeks. It's only 3 weeks. Well, I can tell you, in that 3 weeks, out of nowhere, a artistic swimming club was born, the Pirouettes of Texas. And that club to this day is still sitting here in the Dallas area, run by my former, teammates, run by my mom's former athletes. My mom, Patty Barton, was, the person who started the club. And it's just a crazy story to think that a 3-week class with my friends, coached by my mom, turned into what would be my sports career. I had a lot of ups and downs throughout the 9 years that I swam in Dallas with the Pirouettes of Texas. Number one, being coached by my mom. You can imagine, I was grounded a lot. True story. But no, it was hard. It was really hard to have your coach as your mom. She cared so much and saw my potential from a young age. By the time I was 11 and 12 years old, I was traveling the country, competing at the highest level nationally that you could in the sport at my age. And, at 11 is when I met who would eventually become my maid of honor and one of my best friends, Christina Lum. We competed against each other as soloists for so many years, for our entire careers, essentially. And I love that story of meeting somebody at such a young age. You live in completely different states, yet you're competing against each other nationally, and you end up becoming best friends and each other's maid of honors. So I love that piece of my early years and that story. I also remember some really hard times. I made the junior national team when I was 16 years old, and that was a huge accomplishment. I had the opportunity at 14 and 15, before making the team, to travel the world, travel to Germany and compete internationally for the first time. And that's really when my international career started, when I was about 14 years old. Made the junior national team at 16 and had the most amazing experience, got to swim and compete with, girls from all over the country, which again was it's such a special and unique part of the sport. I grew up in a family that did not have a lot of money. There was no way that without this sport, I would have ever had the opportunity to travel the world like I did. And that is something that I'm forever grateful for, because it really opened my eyes to just the diversity of people there are in the world. This world, we live in our little spaces, but there is a really big, amazing world out there. And I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity with artistic swimming to be able to travel internationally. So I made the junior team. It was an amazing thing at the time. I went on to try out for the national team too. I think it was the next year, in hopes that that was going to be my next step to what was now, I had decided was going to be my Olympic goal. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wasn't sure exactly when, but I did want to go to the Olympics. I made that goal pretty much, at about that 14 or 15 age. Went and tried out for national team too, and I did not make it. It was devastating. That was the only team at the time nationally that I could have made at my age. And I can remember being on the plane with my mom and just hysterically crying. I mean, I felt truly like my life was, like my career was over. I mean, what do I do now? So that moment in time when I didn't make the national team was really kind of my first big taste of failure, I would say. I had always, sort of been the star of my small club team, and then made, these national teams, these junior national teams. And then I got my first taste of failure. And that's when I realized, okay, I truly am a small fish in a really big pond. And if I want to separate myself and be known and be seen in this athletic community, I'm going to have to make some changes. So, my senior year comes around, and I knew that I was going to need to step up my training game. On a small club, the resources, unfortunately, are not there from a training perspective to reach some of those goals. And so I was being recruited at the time by the Santa Clara Aquamaids, Walnut Creek Aquanuts were also recruiting me. So the big clubs at the time, wanting me to come to their club when I graduated. Ohio State and Stanford were recruiting me at the time. And it was hard. It was a really hard decision. I grappled with it for, I had some visits and I grappled with it for a long time. There was something about the Santa Clara Aquamaids that really I connected with. I connected with the work ethic. I connected with Chris Carver just as a person. I connected with the athletes. I had grown up competing against many of the athletes on that club team, and many that ended up becoming my best friends. So I think there was a familiarity there for me. And so that's what I did. I traveled across the country at 18 years old with my parents. And literally they drove me and dropped me off at the Lum House, which became my home for the next year. And I joined the Santa Clara Aquamaids. It was an amazing time. It was a really very influential time in my life. You're 18, you're moving away from home from the first time ever. Your mom had been your coach that whole time. I would say, I'm leaving all of my friends who are kind of off, going to their colleges. And I would say, my schedule wasn't the same when I was calling home and talking to my friends that were having so much fun. And I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning and I was going to the pool. And then I would get out, put my hair in a bun, it would be soaking wet, and I'd go straight to the junior college, De Anza College, right down the street. I would take my hair out of the bun after a couple of classes, be back at the pool by lunch, and swim until 8 o'clock at night, get out and go to school until 10:30 or so. I usually had one class at night. And so to say that those first 6 months were difficult and was a huge transition for me would be an understatement. I had a very, very hard time. I can say, without a doubt, I think it was the first time in my life I had actually dipped into a little bit of a depression. So about 6 months in, and maybe it wasn't even 6 months in, maybe at about 5 months in, I called my mom, and I can remember saying, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. And my mom, really, I was so thankful for her because she said, okay, come home. We're good. Come home. And, her and my dad were both very supportive. They knew that I had a dream and I had a goal, but they certainly wanted, more importantly, for me to be in a positive mental state and be able to make these decisions for myself. This wasn't their journey. This was definitely mine. So I told my coaches that I was packing up and that I was quitting the sport. I remember one thing in particular somebody said to me. They said, Carrie, what you don't want is you have all the potential in the world. Your goal is right there. It's right at your fingertips. But you don't want to look back and regret that you coulda, woulda, shoulda, and you just gave up a little bit too soon. And I think this decision is so different for everybody. I've had friends who I feel like had potential that did give up a little bit early, but for them, maybe that was the right decision. For me, that regret would have been way more difficult to deal with than what I ended up deciding, which was give me a couple of weeks of a break and I'm going to hit the ground running. And I have to tell you, it was such a pivotal moment, and I did not look back. From that moment forward, I never questioned being in the sport. I never questioned that I wanted to go to the Olympics or, try out and hopefully make it. It was like, nope, let's go. I now have my support system. I have the people and the friends around me that know I need them. I need their hearts. I need them to, just be on my same team. And that was really impactful. And I'm so grateful to the people, like Chris and Michelle Costanza and Robin Roberts, and Jenny Ihaleski. These are people, Mary Wadka, these are people that really came around me and made me feel like you can do this. And so then, of course, I joined the Santa Clara Aquamaids. I'm 18. I go on to compete in nationals, and I make the national team too that year, which was awesome, and it was right before the 96 Olympics. And, being able to, be able to team with people and get along with so many different personalities, it was not easy. It was absolutely not easy. We had many difficult days. Us females are extremely vocal and powerful people, and which is awesome. And so, I feel like that's where I learned to communicate more effectively. It's where I learned to be able to work with people from so many different backgrounds. And also, it's where I learned to, I feel like, receive feedback. Still lots of really awesome moments and lots of really difficult moments. I had another really hard moment in 1997. And this is a really personal story, and I told it at the time, but it's been a long time since I've spoken about it. In 1997, I was, we were training and getting ready for nationals, and it was a difficult time. We were having a lot of changes on our team in general. We had people that left. My duet partner was changing, and it was a very already emotional year. But I was starting to come into my own as an athlete and feeling really good about what was happening. And I got a call in March of that year that one of my best friends had lost her life. She had committed suicide. And that was very emotional, obviously. And it was something, again, that was this pivotal moment for me as a human, as a friend, as an athlete. When tragedies and these sort of traumatic things happen, it's a natural inclination to just give up. I'm done. This is too much. I can't do this anymore. This is now the moment where I take a step back and I focus on other things. And I decided to move forward because I know, number one, that was what my friend would have wanted. She had told me that as much right before this. And I ended up having the most incredible meet of my career. It actually propelled me into being the soloist for the United States as well as the duet for the first time. I had never been in a position like that for the US before. I'd been on the national teams and was a part of the team. Certainly I'd had goals of accomplishing that, but this was the first time that I was truly now representing the United States in the world as a soloist and a duet, and obviously on the team. That was such an amazing summer, going to Worlds in China and being able to compete at that level and experience the pressure at that level. It was very intense. The training that went into it, again, I was that person, always had to have a million hours of training. I learned a lot. And, I will say I learned that, part of being an athlete at that level, it's a lot more than talent. It's a lot more than the hours in the pool. I would say it's a good 80% mental. You've got to have the mental strength and the mental capacity to handle the sort of pressure that comes with that. And I'll be the first to admit that it was hard for me. It was hard. I'd had certain experiences in my life that I think really, helped make me strong, but also helped make me a little bit, more mentally have a hard time handling that sort of pressure. And so the experience was wonderful. I was so happy to have had it. It was the last time that I represented the US as a soloist or a duet. But it was a really special experience. I can remember the swims. I can remember feeling proud. I can remember, feeling as if I made my country proud. I think I did. And so for that, I'm really grateful. And then, my Olympic dream. My Olympic dream came true. I remember being at Olympic trials and, I felt like in that moment, I had almost peaked as an athlete. I really could feel like all the training, all the coaching had come together. I was the most confident in the sport I had ever been at the Olympic trials. And it felt good. It felt good to be able to share that with my coach and to show, Chris and Michelle and Nancy Hines and all these coaches that had been coaching me for so long, show them that all of their time and effort was worth it. And so then I got to go to the Olympics and, what a cool experience. I'll never forget walking into the stadium. That was really when I felt like my dream came true, was walking into that stadium and hearing the crowd roar and just going, wow, and seeing all the lights and going, gosh, this is so amazing. And we're walking with all the athletes and the whole country. And, you know, getting to know so many of those athletes along the years, you know, having competed at that level, it was inspiring. It was so inspiring. And then we competed. And, you know, look, it was a time for us. We knew politically we were up against a difficult time. In the US politically, it was ironically not much different. And so we knew that it was going to be hard to medal, but our goal was absolutely to medal. Our team had worked so incredibly hard for this. And I think, you know, I've shared this story now in the last several months as we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary, but I had a mistake in the short program. As I've spoken to my teammates over the years and even in recent months, it's funny to get different perspectives. You know, some don't think it made a difference at all. They don't even know why I would see that as a failure. But I can tell you, having experienced that sort of despair, and I mean, you know, when you're a part of a team sport like this and your you know, ability to medal or whatever your goal is, to accomplish your goal is on the line, you know, each of you are on the line for that, it's a big deal. And I was devastated. And, you know, it took me into another dark place of, you know, kind of a depressed state where I was like, I can't believe that this happened. You know, we worked so hard. And, you know, I was proud of myself. We went on to swim our long program almost perfectly, and it felt amazing. It felt like we were a team. It felt inspiring. I felt like we literally had left it all out there and there was nothing else we could do. And I'll remember the moment I remember most at the Olympics, honestly, even besides my mistake, was at the end and turning around and hugging Christina Lum. Because we had competed with each other for so long and against each other. And to have that moment with her was extremely special, extremely special. So yeah, so I mean, that was my artistic swimming journey. And I hope you learned some of the good, the bad, the impactful, the inspiring. You know, I think for me, now I own my own business. I've been in the executive recruiting world for a while now, the recruiting world in general. You know, after the Olympics, my biggest fear was that I was going to be lazy, that, you know, now that I didn't have a schedule, I wasn't going to work hard. And I can tell you that was far from the truth. I went on to graduate from San Francisco State in 2.5 years, got my degree, and a month later was at my first job. And, you know, I didn't take a lot of time in between everything. And I definitely regret that a little bit. I wish I had taken a little bit of a break and just, you know, relaxed for a minute. But my family didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of choice. I did have to get into the workforce very fast and, you know, just fell into a career that honestly has been amazing because it's been a career where my journey actually, I think has helped impact it and has given me some of the tools that I needed to be successful, not only in recruiting and executive recruiting specifically, but now that I've started my own business, you know, it's given me the independence. It's given me the tools around resilience and perseverance and failure and being able to pick yourself back up and being told that, you know what, you need to do this better. That's not your strength. And being okay with that and going, okay, how can I now grow? I see the differences with people that have not been in some sort of committed sport or music or artistic something where they're accomplishing a goal. And I do think that this sport has given me so many of those tools that I'm forever thankful for. I'm married. I have been married now for 16 years, together almost 20. And 2 kids who are amazing, 11 and 14. And, you know, I'm trying really hard to transfer some of the experiences that I've had to them because my experience wasn't perfect. It's not about having a perfect experience. It's really about being transparent in that experience and sharing. I'm so happy we now live in a world where sharing that information can help people and help other people grow. And so I hope that my experience impacts you in some way. Maybe it doesn't, but I hope you're inspired. And I just want to say I'm very excited for this upcoming hopeful Olympic team. I'm so excited to be one of your athlete reps, and I can't wait to hear the other Olympic athletes' journeys, because I know I'm still open to listening and to learning and to evolving and hearing everybody's stories. And thank you so much for allowing me to do this. Love you all. Love you, Chris. Love you, Michelle. Love you, my mom and my family. Love you.